Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Patrick Byrne with the National Racing Network. Joining me in the booth tonight will not be Chris Graham. Instead, we have Chad Irvine. Chris is unfortunately on vacation. Unfortunately for us, good for him. Tonight, we will be in Long Pond, Pennsylvania at the Great Pocono Raceway. This is the home track to me and many people in the New York tri state area, and just one of the most fantastically unique tracks on the calendar. Only three turns, which is really unusual, all three of them being modeled after three different speedways. Turn 1 is 9 degrees, that's modeled after Trenton Speedway, a track that is now defunct and torn down. Turn 2 is the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, banked at 6 degrees, and it's a 90-degree corner just like Indianapolis. And Turn 3 is banked exactly the same as the Milwaukee Mile, making it a very, very slow corner, but it's very wide and a very long corner, giving you a huge run into that massive front straightaway.
Yeah, it's one of the longest straightaways in basically all of auto racing, and it just feels like it goes on forever. At least on an oval, it just feels like you're there on that front stretch forever. But the big thing in these cars is there's just so much room. You get so much speed going down into turn one, and there's so much room there. We've seen guys stick it four wide without issue before.
I was going to say, IndyCar, there's a fantastic shot out there somewhere where they fan out 7, 8 wide, and this track is wide enough, they could have fit 4 or 5 more. 8 wide is easily doable here in the stock cars, and hopefully we see that kind of action on the starts and restarts today. Another big key thing about this track is, unlike other tracks, most of your passing is done in the straightaways here. Your big zones are going to be between turn 3 and turn 1 down that massive front straightaway. Just like Daytona Talladega, you're going to be trying to get a draft and slingshot around the car in front. Similar thing happens between turn 1 and turn 2, but you're coming off of 1 so much faster than you are coming off of 3, where it's really the run you get off of turn 1, maybe running it just a touch higher, getting a few more miles an hour going into turn 2 to make the move.
Yeah, this track is just so iconic, so well known. Hosting two NASCAR Cup races a year for God, I couldn't even tell you how long. But the turn two, the infamous tunnel turn, has got that bump in there, and that really wants to throw off all your momentum. You know, you're talking about all these runs that you can get, and if you hit that bump just wrong, it can upset the car and really throw you through a loop.
Yeah, just like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, that corner is modeled after. That's a single file turn. Don't let its width fool you. You cannot go through that turn too wide. It will be carnage, and as we get later in this race, you're going to see people really pushing it just how far they can go. Uh, See who has the bigger cojones trying to get through that turn.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those where depending on the car, it can either go really fast for you, or you have to slow down a lot to make it. And we'll have to see how aggressive these guys are because, as you mentioned how wide it is, it's so tempting to try to take it flat, and it's just never going to work.
No, so we just got our update on our stage breaks tonight. Stages will be at lap 10 and 25. Lap 10 will be our caution stage break, and 25 will be green flag all the way through. We just take a snapshot of the leaderboard as they're running, and those guys in the top 10 will get stage points for it.
And that's something that I wish that they would bring into the real world. Those stage breaks really just break up a race. If you could just keep it green and just throw the green checkered and let them keep on going, it'd make the real world Cup Series a lot better. And that's why I like that they do it here.
Now, one interesting thing we have in the Sim Racers Club is there's 2 seasons, 3 if you really want to count it. So this is the last race of the first half of the season, which is its own season, the spring season. Johnny Avila has already locked up the championship for that. But some of these other drivers might need just an extra stage point here, or maybe they're looking at stage points for the full year-long season. So with that first stage break being at lap 10, I wonder if we'll see any drivers make some crazy aggressive moves way early on in this race, trying to secure themselves those stage points.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things, thinking big picture versus small picture. Typically with stuff like that, you might from time to time see people do it, but those aggressive moves, those are really more of short-term goals, I feel like, because if you're playing the long game, all you really want to do is you don't have to finish great, just finish well, but you have to keep yourself out of trouble. The trouble is what really hurts you in the long term compared to if you're just, uh, trying to get to the front and you make a mistake versus if you're just hanging mid pack and something happens in front of you. If you've got your eyes all over the track, you can definitely save yourselves and maybe even gain a bunch of points just by keeping your nose clean.
Qualifying underway now. We have single car qualifying here in the Sim Racers Club. So nice clear green track for everyone to run on. It's really going to be almost like road course qualifying, where you just have to focus on hitting your marks. You're really just racing the track here, not doing any fancy tricks like Daytona or Talladega, running the high line the first lap and low line second lap. Really, both laps are push it as hard as you possibly can and see what you can get. We see Johnny Avila, though. I just say that. He's running the high line in turn 3, trying to get as much of a run as he can down that massive front straightaway.
Yeah, and you see all those highway lane markings. That just shows how wide this track is, and he's gonna dive it down to turn one full bore, and here he goes, hoping to set some fast laps.
Now, one thing I'm reading from some of the drivers is tire wear is going to be an issue tonight. Only 3 sets of tires for these cars. The set they start on, they've got 2 more in the pit box. What I'm hearing is after about 10 laps, the right front tire is starting to get a little bit roasted. Um, I wonder if we see any cars have to come into the pits at that first stage break and maybe waste one of those tires. If you break the 70 lap race up in the thirds, you're looking 25, 22 and a half or so laps per tires you can use. But is that going to be realistic tonight? Or are we going to see some major saving from these guys?
I if you were talking about the guys taking the big swings. I think that first stage might be where they want to do it. If you're one of the guys starting up front, but you want to be there, maybe for the second stage or for the second round of pit stops and for the end of the race. If you're looking big picture, you can definitely make some moves on strategy. If you want to, work your way to the front of the field, just shred that right front and do it that first 10 laps. You still have to go at 25, 35 laps on a set of tires to make it, the rest of the race. So it's definitely going to be a decision that we'll have to keep an eye on how many sets of tires these guys take.
So in qualifying, nobody coming anywhere close to Andrew Moore's time. He has run a 54 nearly flat. Next fastest car is Daniel Pinkston, almost 4/10 slower. Troy Haight goes second fastest. Just as I'm saying that, he's only 5/10 slower. And Kevin Dick to the pole with a 53.90.
You have to feel for Johnny Avila. His lap time was faster, but he hit the wall coming out of turn 3. We saw that live just a moment ago, and when he hit the wall, it deleted his lap time. It did not count, but he would have been at least close to that pole position.
This might be good for Johnny Avila, though. He's already locked up the championship. Maybe he's going to get himself a little extra money tonight. Custom Paints and Diecast is sponsoring the Hard Charger Award, so starting way back in the field like he's going to, he has a real shot at trying to get that.
I mean, that's another one of those awards. It'd be awesome for him to add that to his collection of hardware that he's won this season and just dominating the points championship. So definitely going to be a fun night to watch from a very talented driver that might have to start at the back.
And Will Worcester to the top of the charts at a 53.77. It's insane how much faster these guys are going. I wonder if the sun is starting to move behind a cloud. Maybe the track is cooling down real quick.
Everybody very, very close up on times. The closest duo in terms of lap times, it looks like, is between Max William and AJ Digby, starting 6th, or currently provisionally P6 and P7, but they are tied down to the 100th. They have to go to the thousandths of a second between the two of them to differentiate where they're going to start on the grid.
I was going to say, we say Johnny Avila has run away with this thing. It hasn't been a walk-off. The field of competition in this, the range of skill is so tight between all these guys. It's just he's been on the ball week in, week out. Whereas some of the other drivers, maybe you'll have a bobble one week, a bad race another. That just hasn't happened for Johnny Avila. A rough qualifying effort tonight, but I still expect to see him towards the front of the grid at the end of the race.
Yeah, if you can keep your nose clean, we see it in the real World Cup series. When they get down to the chase, people talk about, oh, you might have a throwaway race or something like that. Especially back before they did the rounds of 16 and 12 and everything. But back in the day, it was you have one throwaway race, and it was typically going to be the plate race that came up in the chase. Whether that was, I think that was going to be at Talladega at
Yep.
when the chase comes, and
The
yeah, I
Aaron
mean,
499.
yep, that was. Always the race the drivers circle and say, you know what? If I don't have a good result here, it's okay. We can make up for it everywhere else.
Yeah, and I like the plate tracks for the new playoff style just because it's a wild card. It's like your wild card round in baseball or football. It's basically everyone walks up to the starting line, spins a roulette wheel, and that's where you finish. Except instead of doing that, they're driving race cars at 200 miles an hour, inches apart.
Here's Mike McConville coming across through turn 3, and man, that Circuit City car. Whew, that's a name. Actually, you know what? I just talked about Circuit City last week, but before that, I couldn't tell you the last time I even thought of that brand.
I haven't seen anything Circuit City in a while. Actually, the last I have seen something Circuit City about those disposable CDs they were renting,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
but I might have been the downfall.
The only reason I even thought of Circuit City the other day is I was actually out at the local shopping center, and they still have like the building was designed for Circuit City. It had the big circle cut into the building for the logo, and just some like random hospital chain put their logo in the middle of it for their offices. So
We have something almost
it's the
identical.
tombstone of Circuit City is still sitting there. I have to say, I always love giving our sponsor shout outs. Shout out to Circuit City for putting that, and Mike McConville just put in a solid lap. He goes all the way up to 8th on his first time around. He waited very late to go out here in qualifying.
I was going to say, and we've seen the faster times come as the session's gone on. I really wonder if maybe it's real cloudy and the track's been cooling down through this qualifying. You saw the temperature dropping.
Yeah, you see kind of in that background of the last shot, it was definitely very cloudy out there, and maybe just the way that you see the
Oh,
clouds there all over the
bobbles off
place.
the apron a little bit, though. That's going to hurt his time just a touch. Yeah, he's trekking about a second slow now.
It was looking so promising the first half of that lap as well, but he's going to work his way around here through turn number 3, as the wall says, what turn 4? Cross the line on second time around, and he will not improve with the 53.769. Got one driver, looks like still on track. That's Richard Smith, currently P15.
Now, drivers are saying tonight that fuel will last about 35 laps, and if you're sitting in the draft, you can probably get to 40. So that means on fuel, it's only a one stop race. It's really going to be a matter of who can save their tires and use that rubber most effectively.
Yeah, the way that these tires were, we talked about a moment just a little bit ago, but it's going to be interesting to watch who decides to use their tires. Richard Smith, the last car to lay down a lap in qualifying, does not improve, so he's going to start 15th, and this field looks just about set.
With about a minute to go before they grid up, I'd like to plug all of our sponsors here for the Sim Racers Club. As always, we have SimSpeed Shop sponsoring the button boxes for the championship winners. One of them already going out to Johnny Avila, as long as he doesn't put any tape on the nose of the car here at Pocono for the spring season. Then another one will be going out for the summer season. And the overall champion at the end of the year for the year-long championship receives a NASCAR style wheel full with all the buttons and everything you find in a NASCAR stock car you see on TV. After that, we have Northland Leisure. They are sponsoring our stage winners tonight. So at lap 10, lap 25, those guys will be getting a little bit of cash from Northland Leisure. Realty Executive Saskatoon. They are going to be our cash sponsor for the fastest lap tonight. So maybe you go out there, nice fresh set of tires, go out there, set an absolute heater, they'll send some cash your way. And of course, we have Custom Paints and Diecast, longtime sponsor of the series. They're sponsoring our Hard Charger and our Tough Luck Award, our Biggest Loser Award. So if our pole sitter Will Worsler bins it on lap 1 and ends up at the back of the grid, well, it's not that bad of a day. They'll send him a little bit of money.
Yeah, I really want that Biggest Loser award. That's the one thing I do. I can hot lap by myself. I can put down a Q lap, but the second you get another car within about 5 feet of me, I just can't help but panic a little bit.
So our starting lineup tonight, on row 1 will be Will Worsler and Kevin Dick. Row number 2 will be Troy Haight and Tyler Seville. Row number 3, Andrew Moore and Max Williams. Row number 4, AJ Digby on the inside, Mike McConville on the outside. Row number 5 will be Hunter Waters and Brad Allison. Row number 6 will be Daniel Pinkston and Jacob Williams. Row number 7 will be Tim Knott on the inside and Ray Javorka on the outside. Row number 8 will be Richard Smith and Tony Patton. Row number 9 will be Richard Fletcher and Corbin Simmons. And bringing up the tail of the field, unusually, will be Johnny Avila going for the Hard Charger Award tonight.
Yeah, it hit the wall as he was on a very promising lap his second time around there in qualifying. So he's got some work to do, but the pace truck starts to roll away. We are going to get ready here for it's going to be probably about 90 minutes of awesome racing action.
Yeah, Pocono is always a fun one to watch. Maybe not so much for the side-by-side racing and that kind of crazy excitement, but more the strategy side of things. Who burns up their tires early in the run trying to charge up through the field? And who sits there kind of mid-pack, laying back, keeping their name out of our mouths, and all of a sudden at the end of the race, where did he come from? Pocono is famous for its crazy surprises like that.
Yeah, you were talking about who burns up their tires. I think that Johnny Avila, you talked about him starting in the back. He's going to have to at that first stage. He's just going to have to full send it for the first 10 laps, try to get as much ground as he can, and then play the strategy game from there to the end.
One thing to note is we have overtime in this series. So maybe you want to save an extra set of tires in case we get overtime. Maybe a big wreck 5 laps to go takes out most of the field. Well, if you have that extra set in the box, maybe you take those tires, you go back to P5, P6, and you charge your way on up to the front while everyone else is on 35-lap-old tires.
I mean, that's possible. I just think you might be asking too much of it out of your tires, trying to basically, split the race in half and try to do something crazy at the end. But to work our way out of turn 3, we're set. Just there's a lot of amazing racing action here in the Sim Racers Club.
And pace car is in, and as always on the National Racing Network, lap 1 is yours. Time to crank it up. And leading lap 1 will be Will Worcester, keeping himself safely out in the front. About a quarter of a second in front of Kevin Dix. Kevin Dix still in the draft, but not looking to make any crazy moves just yet.
Yeah, these guys, the first 7 or 8 cars really just single file already. And we talked about it, you can't make it through turn two. Sorry, two abreast too often. And somebody's going to have to give into that corner. But have to see who can take advantage here as
Johnny
drivers.
Avila, already in the first lap and a half, up 4 positions. The only one that come close to that is Jacob Williams, who is up to 9th, up 3 positions.
Johnny's got a long way to go. He gets in the front. We'll see if he can make some moves. He's already been doing that, and this time across line, yes, still 15th, but he's picking them off one by one.
Will Worcester extending his gap over Kevin Dick, now almost to 0.4 of a second. So every lap, he's just picking up a little bit by little bit. That last lap, he was a 10th faster than Kevin Dick. Seems like clean air really is king here. If you get out in the front, you can really push and get away from the field if you want to.
Yeah, the slipstream is strong, but if you're trying to do something, here's a move under to the inside. That's going to be pretty textbook, I think, what we're going to see here tonight. These drivers have kind of just figured out where you can tuck in line the turns 3 and 1, and then get the move done in turn 2. But just as I say that, proven wrong with the huge move there from Johnny Avila to the inside, picking up another spot.
Yeah, he's trucking on along. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a hold of Rick Javorka or Brad Allison here going into turn number 1.
Yeah, I think he's just going to be making moves everywhere he possibly can. Up 5 spots. Last lap was pretty quick, 54.38. That's not far off of the cars in front. Looks like for the most part, though, everybody's still kind of in this one pack. A couple breaks here and there, but it's just going to be fun to watch these guys. No changes, though, in the front 4. Those guys all running exactly where they started.
Max Williams really applying the pressure to Tyler Seville, only about a 1/10 of a second off the rear bumper of Tyler Seville. It's really, really tight what these guys are doing. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of bump drafting, trying to move him out of the way a little bit and getting by him in turn 1, trying to get these stage points in stage 1. So you see one car knocking into the wall coming out of turn 3. Everything seems to be all right. They've got that nice and collected.
And that's probably going to kill a bunch of the straight line speed for that car. But these guys here with the Javorka and Pinkston, both of them trying to make some moves, but they're just locked nose to tail. I thought there was going to be a huge bump draft there from Williams, but he's just right on the bumper of Seville still.
See, Pocono, it plays out a lot like a road course where you're going to sit and just try and intimidate the guy in front of you into making a mistake. With how heavy the braking zones are here, you have to hit your mark. So if someone's clogging up your rearview mirror, it can be really easy to miss the braking point by a little bit. The track's wide enough you can slide up a little bit and be okay, but you're going to lose a ton of time doing it.
Even though the tracks are very, very different in terms of the profile, the layout, the configuration, they run between Pocono and Michigan. They run very similar strategy-wise. Sometimes it feels like there's always somebody that's going to be off strategy, trying to pull off some crazy number, or guys trying to race back to the rain. I feel like at both tracks, one of the 2 races each year is impacted by rain. This year, we already had one at Michigan. We'll have to see if the Pocono Fall race gets.
There is no Pocono Fall race.
Oh, that's right. They went back to 1, didn't they?
Yes, I was at Pocono this year, and the NASCAR itself was racing against the rain. It started pouring about 5 minutes after the checkered flag fell. They did not show it on the broadcast, but we had a car spin coming off of 3. Right as the pack was coming, they did not throw the yellow. Car spun back around, actually saved it, and kept going. They did not throw the yellow, so the race could end under checkered. It was pretty fantastic.
Johnny Avila now up into 11th spot now. working right behind Tim Knott. He's got a bit of a gap though to get up to Tim, who's about
And
2 seconds
that
up the road.
that's gonna be tough because Tim Knott just set the fastest lap of the race at a 54.09. But if he can catch him, then there's the second question of can he get around him? But he's really trying to get into 10th position, try and get some of those stage points with lap 10 nearing ever closer as we approach lap number 8.
Yeah, that's going to be the issue for Johnny is that there's a couple of large breaks
Although
in the field.
this is what Johnny Avila wants to see right now. Tim Knott and Jacob Williams fighting side by side going down the front stretch and in the one. It's given Johnny Avila a huge chance to make up some time. Distance is about a second and a half now. It's really what he wants to see out of his windshield. They're still side by side slotting back in single file for the tunnel turn.
Now, Richard Fletcher, the only car not currently on the racetrack, he started 17th and is now parked. Not sure if it's for the event or if he's taking some sort of repairs.
Yeah, I believe that was the car we saw smack the wall a couple laps ago.
Now, we've got some competition. We don't have much competition yet for the Biggest Loser Award. AJ Digby down 11 spots, all the way down to 18th, so he must have had an issue. He's 5 seconds behind the next car of Javorka.
He's done this before. He did this last week. He dropped way back, sat back there most of the race, and then right at the end, I believe he finished second or third. Out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's some extreme tire saving if you're trying to do something crazy like you were talking about, maybe try to save a set. As Andrew Moore continues to work his way up here as that's him in McConville trying to work right on the back of Max Williams.
Yeah, that's become a 4-car fight for essentially fourth, which is allowing these top 3 cars to really just run away with it a little bit.
Yeah, for
As
sure.
Hunter
Huge
Waters
dive.
dives to the oh man.
That was a late move and a half, but he made it stick. He's still alongside as they go down the front straightaway. The issue for him is he's going to have no drafting help there. And he's
As we see Tim Knott diving down to the low side, I wonder if he had an issue of some sort. Johnny Avila now really closing on him, only 0.3 of a second separate those 2 cars. As Andrew Moore dives to the inside of of Mike McConville. That was close.
Guys, really, as we get closer to this is, I think, the last lap before the stage caution. So, gonna have to get this move done right here, Johnny, if you want to make up another spot.
He's going to try it. It looks like he's got the run on the inside as they're going to go side by side into turn 3.
And he's got that done and dusted easily before they even get to the apex.
Now our 4-car battle for 4th, or essentially now what has become 5th, is going to be won by Max Bullia. Mike McConville, a short distance behind for 5th, but doesn't quite get it.
So far, looking like these guys get themselves wound up. This race really kind of has that feel to it where the guys at the front are not able to make too many moves. Guys further back in the pack, they're trying to just do anything they can either to keep up and just stick with everybody else, or some of the guys really want to get to the front. I mean, look at Johnny Avila already up 9 spots from where he started.
So stage winner Will Worcester, we'll go see if he's going to run down the pit lane. If after pit stops are completed, we'll pull him in here and ask him some questions. He's from a guy who hated this car at the beginning of the season, absolutely despised it. So he's out here, he's leading races, always up front. The switch has been flipped in his brain, and he is running away with it.
Yeah, I mean, once that green flag flies, there's just some drivers, even if they hate the car, they still run great in it, and that just comes down to raw talent. These guys getting set behind the pace car now.
That's the thing. Not to knock him. He's a fantastic driver, but at the beginning of this season and last season when they were alternating between the NextGen and Xfinity car, he wasn't doing so hot in the NextGen car. It did not suit his driving style at all. There was a huge learning curve, and it seemed like 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, something flipped, and he's been up front consistently since then.
Yeah, once you kind of get your feet under you, it's been fun to watch him so far. I'm not too familiar with the series as of yet, but with the way he's racing, with some of the moves that other guys are making, Mike McConville was fighting pretty hard for that fifth spot. Um, he was trying to, he was making some moves as well. There's just been moves all throughout this field that really make you want to come back and watch some more.
So as pits are open, we're going to see who pits. It seems like most of the field is coming in so far. Actually, it looks like the entire field is going to dive into the pits.
That really surprises me. Actually, looks
Richard
like Richard
Fletcher's
Fletcher
staying
does
out.
not. So everybody except for him decides to come in, and he's maybe trying to break the rest of the race up into equal parts. He's going to have to be praying for a yellow to come out for him to use that set at some point. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to
Not
see how it plays out.
necessarily. This track is huge. You're not going to go a lap down. Hell, you're probably not even going to go half a lap down if you dive into the pits. So it should be all right. As we see some cars in the box for an extended period of time. I shouldn't say that. We see a lot of cars come into the box for a very short period of time. It does not look like they took tires or only took right sides.
Yeah, a lot of 7-second stops. It looks like 6 drivers only took 2 tires, and those are Orsler, Seville, and Waters, as well as Smith, Digby, and Jarkova. Those are the only 6. Looks like it took 2. The rest of the field, um, rest of the field all look like they took 4. Interesting note though, Kevin Dick, he took 4 tires, and he still came out ahead of a bunch of the guys that only took 2.
Well, I believe that's just because he was so much farther up in the field. Why don't we find Will Worsler and we'll bring him up in here? What?
Hello?
What's going on, Will? Stage winner of stage 1 tonight. How's the car feeling?
Car feels good. Car's driving the way I want it to drive.
And it looks like you only took 2 tires on that stop. What is the idea or goal behind that strategy?
I took no tires, sir.
No
I took
tires. Oh,
fuel
man.
only. Yeah, it's a 70-lap race, and I don't race this track a lot because I hate it. But the last couple of races I've had here, everybody got pretty dicey and chance taken at the end, and a lot of cautions and whatnot. So I thought I might have to have a new set of shoes at the end.
I like the thought process. Well, we'll let you get back down to WWR, start plotting the way you guys are going to win this race. So good luck and have a good one.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
It looks like we're 1 to go, so we're not going to bother anyone else here under this caution. We'll let everyone else get right back into their zone. It looks like Daniel Pinkston here is still sitting in the pits. I didn't see him involved in any incident, so I don't know if this is damage repair or maybe he's having hardware issues or something that's holding him in the pits for this extended period of time. He's been there over 2 minutes now. Field going through the tunnel turn now. It is the calm before the storm. I expect this restart to get a little bit dicey just like the last one. We have guys like Johnny Vila. He's up to 13th position now. So top 10 is easily within sight. And we have guys like AJ Digby, someone who was hanging out in the back, saving his stuff. He took a real short pit stop, probably no tires as well for him. But he might still have good shoes under that car to go and try and make some moves here on this first lap.
Yeah, some of these guys going to just be digging on fresh tires. This is going to be where you really get to see what advantage 2 versus 4 tires might have.
Richard Fletcher gets the huge jump on that restart. He's going to have clear access in the turn one with Tyler Seville pushing him from right behind. Teammate Hunter Waters and Will Worsler pushing each other into turn one. All four of those cars or three of those cars are aligned, and they're going to let each other slot right in. Looks like Kevin Dick going to look to the inside of Hunter Waters now, try and get the move into the tunnel turn.
And Dick down 3 spots where he qualified. He's trying to climb back up. He started the race in second, and he's really been able to hang around that top 5 most of the day so far.
3 wide going into turn 3 now. I don't think I've ever seen this work. Richard Fletcher has to slow down just a little bit, let some of these cars go by. But Kevin Dick's going to try and go 3 wide again. A little bit of contact with Tyler Seville there.
I mean, that just shows how much 2 tires, not taking tires versus coming down pit road. Maybe some of these guys did take some. Like Dick was there for 15 seconds, so I think Dick did take tires. He's just flown by Richard Fletcher, who was leading on that restart.
Yeah, like we heard from some of the drivers in the pre-race, where after 10 laps, there's really a bunch of fall off. We see the last lap for some of these guys at a 56, 64, whereas Kevin Dick, that was Kevin Dick's time. Everyone else is about 3/10, 4/10 slower. Four wide now. This is not going to end well. They're going to keep it sticking like that, though, through turn 3. And they all seem to make it out alive. Still 2 wide now coming down the front straightaway.
Wide row of 4 splits into 2x2, and they work their way down. And there's some big weave in there from Kevin Dick down the front stretch as he takes the lead.
These guys know there's still like 53 or so laps left in the race, right?
And by the way, we were just talking about 2 versus 4 versus no tires. Kevin Dick just got the lead, I think, through turn 3 but he's already pulled out to a half-second lead over Warsaw. He's trying to make that grow here as he sends it to turn 2.
The next car that took 4 tires is the 77 of Andrew Moore Jr. He is up to 6th. He's actually down a spot from where he qualified, so he makes it by Richard Fletcher. Let's see if he can push up a little bit more.
Richard Fletcher.
Johnny Avila going to take it 3 wide going into turn 1.
That was a huge dive there, all the way to the yellow line. Almost there's some contact for Max Williams, and man, look at this move from Johnny Avila. He's just putting the hammer down.
Andrew Moore now going on the bottom side of Hunter Waters. Going through turn 2, that is the preferred line. He's going to easily clear Hunter, kind of throwing him into a little pickle there.
Still Dick.
Johnny Avila going 2 for 1 in the turn 3. Avila
Wow,
now
that was a power move.
P8, up 11 spots from where he started. He is set for the hard charger if this pace keeps up.
Yeah, I think that we're going to have to see what he does with his tires the rest of the way, though. Continue the Dick from Worsler from Moore. Seville trying to get the move there for the 3rd spot. They're battling pretty hard. And the 11 with a huge wigger. Seville going to hang on to the 4th spot. Yeah, that green and orange car is one we're going to be looking at a lot all day. We've already talked about him all throughout the broadcast so far. That's championship for the spring split winner, as well as the guy that started dead last year, already up and trying to get the 7th spot. So he's got 7. This is 6 now.
I believe this is the fight for 7th, where he's just going back and forth now. He's got the high side going in down the front straight, so he's got that draft. He's going to try and leave Troy Haight out to dry a little bit.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. You know, this is a track where drafting is so important. It reminds me kind of Indianapolis in terms of the draft is so important, but you can't really pull off the slingshot.
Yeah, the straightaway is just perfectly long enough to where you have to get that move perfectly right from the time you leave the corner with the draft, when you leave the draft, and when you dive and make the move. If you mess any of those steps up just a little bit, not only is the pass not getting done, but someone else is going to pass you. As we see, Johnny Avila kind of cutting off Mike Pocono there. That was a little bit sketchy coming into turn 3.
He didn't even use the turn signal.
Well, clearly that Ford
a
Mustang
BMW?
there is a BMW. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no Toyota Supras here in the NASCAR Cup Series, so no Supra BMW jokes. But
You know, I really wish that instead of running the, because Toyota runs what, the Camry? Come on, who wants to race a Camry? Like, make it the Supra.
16-year-old boys in Toyota Camrys that their grandmother passed down to them 15 years ago, they do at like 3 in the morning. Keeps me up at night.
Oh, a little bit. I thought there was going to be contact there between Avila and Digby, but
those guys are teammates making contact.
There was definitely some contact there, but it looks like Avila's got it. Very close to the wall there on corner exit as well for AJ Digby. Currently holding on to the 8th spot. Johnny Avila up 12 spots, and he is still climbing. Daniel Pinkston looks like he has been out of the race now. He's now 8 laps down. These guys continue the battle here in the field.
Johnny Avila swinging way low, trying to make the move on Hunter Waters, and he gets it done. I wonder if there's a little bit of teamwork there. Of course, those guys are on the same team, so maybe a little bit of coordination, team orders. So we see Tyler Seville and bossman Will Worsler going side by side fighting for P3. They're just letting Andrew Moore Jr. get away with it, but I don't think they had much choice. Both Andrew Moore Jr. and Kevin Dick, again, are on brand new tires. Well, brand new as of 15 laps ago.
Mike McConville there last time through 3 thought about making it 3 wide down that short stretch, and now he's already lost a spot to Avila. He's trying to get it back, and the run he had last time off of turn 1, he might be able to think about. He thinks about it. No, tucks back in line there with Avila. Here's a huge shove for him, and those 3 set sail in front of the 11.
Wait, am I reading this right? Johnny Avila up 16 positions to P3, chasing down the leaders?
Yeah, he's got quite the gap to do it, though. He's got 2 seconds up to Moore, and then another second on top of that up to Kevin Dick leading the race. So he's got some work to do. I think if you're him right now, you just have to kind of maybe think about conserving tires, because we probably are going to see a caution with how aggressive some of these moves might seem to be. As they're 3 wide down the front, can we get 4?
We're not going to get 4. Oh, he's thinking about it. No, smartly backs out of it. But Hunter Waters, again, in a little bit of a pickle there in the inside, in the middle there. I'm going to keep making these jokes all season long as he keeps... And we have the wreck. Car stays in the wall. No spins. Everyone gathers it back up. It seems we're going to stay clean and green. That was the 2 car of Jacob Williams.
We'll see. He pulls it down to the apron. That car does not want to turn. And that's, I think, pretty important if you want to go car racing.
Well, not necessarily. They do drag racing. Actually, they used to do drag racing right here on the front stretch. It's long enough to run an 8th-mile track with shutdown. I believe that was a IHRA sanctioned event back in the 1980s.
You're so smart.
The only reason I know that, actually, me and my current employer, we were discussing it. He used to race down there in the 80s. My day job.
There's Williams now into his pit box, and he's going to be there for probably quite a while, it seems, with the contact that he had. And this move here, though, this is still, this is kind of in that second pack that's formed up. That's Max Williams trying to find a way to get by AJ Digby, but Digby holds on to that 7th spot for now. here's a look at that replay with the contact for Williams. He just hard in the inside wall. He tried to avoid another car, and then from there it was just trying to keep the thing pointed straight as he dives into the apron there. Very fantastic bit of driving. Did not collect anybody else in that one.
Yeah, that was a rough shot, but he managed to save it. Getting a comment here on the YouTube side from Twisted Gaming. Hate being taken out like that, but it happens. Looking forward to the fall-winter season with WWR.
Might be, I think, Daniel Pinkston we're hearing from our producer. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You just got to keep looking forward. You can maybe throw away a race here and there and just kind of hit the reset in the offseason and get things going.
I was going to say, this season, even though we keep saying Johnny Avila's locked up the championship, we're only halfway done with the year-long season. So you got to keep your eyes forward and keep looking towards the big picture.
Yeah, the season format really reminds me of Liga MX. You know, they've got the Aperture and Clausura, the opening and closing halves of the season, and then at the end, everybody comes together and does their little championship between the championship winners. Used to do that in lower level American soccer as well, so I think that's where they're driving that format from, with 2 championships plus the overall title.
As we see, Will Worsler and Tyler Seville still battling for this, I believe they're now battling for P5. So they have worked their way back with this battle. But this turns into a 4-car battle where we have Max William and Troy Haight joining. Tyler Seville getting the lead just out of turn 3, but will it stick? Will Worsler has the run on the high side, so he's going to win the drag race to the line, but who's going to win the drag race to turn 1?
I don't know. They're looking like they were getting real racy there as they got closer and closer to the corner. Here's 2x2. Big check up there from Max Williams. He was all over the back bumper of the 29 of Worsler. That big shove on Worsler is going to send him by Seville.
Will Worsler now playing the Dale Jr., trying to cut off each run, feeling the draft out. Might work at Daytona or Talladega, and I guess it could work at Pocono, but it looks like he just slowed himself down a little bit with Max Williams coming around on the high side, but he shoots way high in turn 3, gets up in the marbles, and Will Worsler's probably going to have the run here coming down the front straight.
That was very high line, but he looks like he's got some momentum, at least able to stay alongside. We continue just to watch these guys. They're falling way behind the cars in front. Johnny Avila, though, continues just to try to cut into that gap. He's still about 3 seconds behind Andrew Moore. But Dick has lost most of his lead. It was up over a second, now just down to 0.3. Working their way out of turn 2, continuing to watch this battle between Worsler and Williams, and they're just back and forth now. Williams there in the blue 8 to the high side, trying to fend off now the 29 of Worsler, and this whole pack of cars has really framed itself up nicely. They've not really let each other go the last not only 20 laps since the restart, but the whole race pretty much they've all been together.
And I would like to comment that Will Worsler's done a fantastic job of holding Troy Haight and Max Williams off. Max Williams and Troy Haight on brand new tires. Not brand new tires. Brand new as of the last pit stop at lap 10. Will Worsler did not take tires on that stop, and to be able to hold these cars off this long is pretty impressive.
Starting to get some connection issues there for Troy Haight, and man, that's, you know, that's so unnerving if you're another driver. Of course, the drivers are going to be aware of that and maybe not race as aggressively. Troy should, and try to, you know, make sure that he's very predictable with his movements, if not let guys past.
It's very hard to ask, though. Where
I know.
When you're blinking and you're running at the tail end of the field, it's one thing to just pull over and go, my internet connection isn't going to put up with this tonight, sign off. When you're running P6 and doing this competitively, especially with a points championship, you can't just sign off. You got to do your best to try and avoid the other cars because they're blinking for you too. When we see him blink out, for him in his chair, every other car has disappeared. So it's kind of like he's flying blind around here. It is very, very scary to do, and you don't know when you'll pop back in. If it's inside another car, if you're completely safe, you don't know until it happens. So we see Tyler Seville and Will Worcester going at it again. I wonder if these guys just having fun with each other at this point. We approach lap 35. That is when the pit window will open for fuel to make the end of the race. If anyone stops that early, I don't know. I would expect pit stops to come around lap 40, 45 if I was a betting man, but trying to get the pit strategy window up, but seems we're having a little bit of technical difficulties with it tonight, so we'll try and call it off by mouth if we can. We are looking at our tightest battle on track right now with Brad Allison versus Max Williams. Fighting side by side. They are fighting for P6 now. Troy Haight making his way up to P5. Maybe with tactics of the blinking car. You know, you just come up in someone's rearview mirror, start blinking, and they're afraid they let you by. So you can use it to your advantage.
Yeah, and I think that the one thing that really is surprising is we're halfway through this race and some guys still haven't taken tires. You know, we just at the stage break we're talking to some of the drivers and they were saying how they didn't, you know, they wanted to save them maybe for the end. We're coming up to halfway and drivers still have not used it. So, you know, if you're up at the front of the field, you're not going to lose a lap and maybe you just get ahead on strategy that way.
Yeah, fuel is not going to be an issue tonight, with tonight being perfectly split in half. So, really just going to be a matter of when is it faster to take tires than to stay out. This is a situation we could see the undercut really come into play, especially if we get a late race caution. That strategy could work out brilliantly.
Yeah, and if you think that you're going to not lose a lap, it might be in your best interest to come in and take your tires now. You know, you're going to gain about a second. Best laps of the race are the 54 ones or so. Currently, drivers running 55 sixes. So, you know, making up a second and a half a lap on fresh. Definitely, you know, if you think you're going to have the shot to make up position, if you think it's going to stay green, take them now, get that undercut, and just go the rest of the way. That's still Seville holding on to the 7th spot. He's down 3 from where he started, but he's still got Max Williams all over that back bumper.
These guys are running about 2 seconds slow off their best times at the beginning of the run. I'm starting to wonder if it's time to say goodbye to those tires you got in the car and just come into the pits. Especially if you haven't taken tires yet, you have that extra set. You can go for the undercut.
You know, a little bit of a wiggle there going into turn 3 from Max Williams, but he's able to keep it under him. I thought there was this close to contact between Williams and Worsler, but no contact there, and they continue just to log laps.
I'm almost seeing a pattern of cars that didn't take tires. We have Tyler Seville, Will Worsler, AJ Digby, and Hunter Waters. The one thing all 4 of those drivers have in common is they run for WWR. I wonder if this is their strategy. You know, don't take tires at the stage break. Just top it off at fuel, run until the fuel runs out, or even earlier. take those tires between lap 35 and lap 40. So I think I called them out on their strategy, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see them pull into the pits between right now and lap 40, 41-ish.
By the way, the interval up at the front of the pack between Dick and Moore, it has grown. It was, second, I mentioned it was down to 3/10. Now it's up to 7/10 again. But Johnny Avila close to about a second and a half behind Andrew Moore. It was over 3 seconds not long ago.
So we see Tony Patton and Richard Smith pulling into the pits. Those are cars, at least Tony Patton, he took tires on that first pit stop. Richard Smith, however, he did not come into the pits at all, so Richard Smith is going to need fuel, and I almost wonder if it's the same scenario for Tony Patton. Maybe not being in the draft, causing him to burn a little bit extra. If that's the case, we could see Kevin Dick have to come into the pits after leading all these laps. Same thing with Johnny Avila being in clean air most of this time.
Now we'll have to keep an eye on where these drivers blend out because, if you don't want to lose a lap at this point. You don't want to lose a lap trying to make your pit stop. So yeah, these guys have lost the lap. It looks like, and that's unfortunate for them.
Losing the lap. Hunter Waters into the pits. Now, he was up towards the front of the grid. I'm not sure if he's going to lose a lap.
Did Richard Smith have an issue on his pit stop? I'm showing him in his box still. He's finally leaving.
Yeah, that was an impressive amount of time. Both him and Tim Knott in the box for an incredible amount of time. So I wonder if they had pit road speeding penalties.
That could definitely be it. On iRacing, those are served when you make your pit stop. So it's not like the real world where you get the opportunity to leave your box and come back around. But more drivers down pit road. They're included. I think that's Mike McConville that is working his way down, as well as Digby and Simmons. These guys pitting from right around that 6th or 7th spot.
Yeah, but we still see Will Worsler and Tyler Seville staying out. So maybe this wasn't a corporate-wide strategy. Maybe all these drivers are just pitting when it feels right.
I think the technical term is diversifying your portfolio. They all are going to be on different pit stops to try to get the best rewards at the end.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I like that.
Wolf of Wall Street, yeah. Oh, AJ, I'm showing AJ Digby has crashed. He has.
Yeah, he's around in the wall. It looks like turn 1 there. And we have the caution coming out in the Paul Tracy danger zone. We have cars on the lead lap, cars not on the lead lap, cars somewhere in between, some who have pit, some who haven't. And this is going to get real hairy. Drivers like Mike McConville, Max William, Hunter Waters, those guys who have come into the pits, they're going to be golden. They're going to be starting up front in this restart. Looks like...
Get another look at that. That was...
Did he just lose it coming out of the pits?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow. He got to that pit exit line, gassed it up, and it just hooked right.
Now, these cars aren't H-pattern. If these cars were H-pattern like the old Gen 6 cars were, maybe I could say it was bad second, third shift on his H-pattern. He went in first. I know my shifter has a hardware issue. Sometimes you shift too aggressive with a third, and it registers as first. But that's not the case with these cars. They are sequential.
Now, we have seen, I think it was Denny Hamlin make a miss shift and ended up killing his engine. I think it was at the Roval or one of the road courses earlier this season when he blew his engine. I think he double downshifted and locked it up. And
I believe that was Bubba Wallace that did that. That was at Sonoma at the right-hander at the top of the circuit.
Sure, yeah. I know what I'm talking about.
No, but you said it jogged my memory a little bit. So Yeah, these cars do not have downshift protection like what you see in F1 cars or GT3 cars, where in those cars you can just smack that downshift paddle all day long and it won't downshift the car if it's dangerous. These cars, however, every time you hit that paddle, the transmission will shift. It doesn't matter if it will blow the engine or not. So you still have to be careful. And I find that even harder to do in a sequential because I get into the habit of I'm hitting the brakes going into the braking zone, smacking that paddle basically all the way until I get back on the gas. Where in these cars, you will very quickly blow an engine doing that. You have to think about each shift, just like if you were driving an H pattern. The only difference, you don't use the clutch when you shift.
I have to assume that when these guys take one of these NASCARs to Le Mans next year, it's gonna have downshift protection on it, right?
The fact that you just said NASCARs and Le Mans, I'm afraid we might have to fire you. Um, I would imagine they would.
I was
However,
told fun was encouraged. I'm sorry.
I'm just messing with you, bud.
I know.
As we see Kevin Dick, Troy Haight, Tyler Seville, Andrew Moore, Brad Allison, Rick Javorka, and Johnny Avila. And, of course, AJ Digby with the damage, all in the pit lane. But yeah, I'm not sure if they would put the downshift protection on there because that Le Mans run is just a development for the next gen car on the road courses.
With headlights.
With headlights. We're finally, for the first time since the 70s, we're going to have real headlights on a stock car again.
It's gonna be fantastic. Was
As
it
we see,
race on Sunday, drive on Monday?
yes, sir, we're going to see Kevin Dick winning that race off pit road, by the way. But yeah, we're going to go back to, race on Sunday, sell on Monday, which is going to be pretty awesome. I hope we get real headlights on these cars. You know, we don't use glass and headlights anymore. We don't have to worry about the glass on track. We use plastic.
Now,
Every car out there, so.
speaking of headlights and endurance racing, I get the chance to camp out at Indianapolis Motor Speedway next year for the IMSA race. I'm looking forward to that one.
I can't wait. That is one I might have to make the pilgrimage out to Indianapolis to go do. I've made it out for the 500 before, and I think that's going to be another one of those big events at Indy that racing fans across the globe will have to go to. It is the mecca of motorsports.
I got my girlfriend into auto racing by taking her there on a museum tour, and we walked in. We drove in under the, and she lives right by the speedway. She's driven past it, dozens of times. We get in there, and you just see how big the place is. It really feels like you're just in a whole other world. It's just amazing, an amazing place to be.
I would say it's not the same feeling. Indian is its own special feeling. But it's the same feeling here at Pocono. This track is so huge. I was down here at the NASCAR race. We were camping in the infield. You go through that tunnel, you get in the infield. It's like a whole redneck city built up in there. It's very, very kind of camping feel. Everyone's just got their pop-ups out and, people are shining projectors on the side of trailers. It's its own kind of circus, and it's really fun. If you haven't done it, you got to go camping at a racetrack because race fans are just something else. They basically bring in their own city for the weekend, and it's something really cool to do. And Pocono even has its own version of the Talladega Boulevard. I forget what they called it. I was a little too inebriated taking place in the party activities going on in the infield to remember what they called it, but there's something very similar to Talladega Boulevard that they have at the Pocono International Raceway. This field is doubled up. Our front row is going to be Mike McConville on the inside and Max Williams on the high side.
And that's what we were talking about with that danger zone. Thanks, Paul Tracy. That the drivers find themselves in. Mike McConville pitted lap 38. He was one of the first guys to come down pit road. And look where he's at now. He's at the front of the field.
With fresh tires, there's 2 hot laps on those tires? Mm-hmm. Those are perfect set of scuffs. Pace car is in, getting ready to go green. Max Williams lays back, going to give Mike McConville the huge jump on the field. He doesn't have Hunter Waters to push, though. No, doesn't look like anyone has any push and help, so Mike McConville's going to get away scot-free.
If I was Mike McConville, I'd dive down to the inside right now, but unfortunately, there's a couple in the back.
He's not going to have
Couple
to.
drivers involved. Brad Allison, one of them.
Are we going to stay green?
I wonder if we can't get a replay of that, because that was interesting to say the least. True Race Square instant replay. This is from high above, and oh, just the push got too aggressive. Then he goes all the way down to the inside, hits the inside wall.
They all keep it together, though. There's no caution.
Incredible.
Barely keep it together, but as we see Will Worsler now looking for the move on Johnny Avila. Don't know if he's going to take it this time. A little bit of a shunt, maybe giving him a little bit of help going into turn one. He does take the help going for the bottom side on Max Williams. Going to back out of it, though.
Not going to get there, and I think that in instances like that, that's the benefit of iRacing, where you don't have debris to worry about, because I'm pretty sure we would have seen one pretty quick for maybe someone's back bumper falling off or something like that.
That is one thing we have seen in the real world is these diffusers, it's not a one-piece bumper in the back of these cars anymore. You have the bumper, and then underneath, you have a diffuser like a sports car, and that diffuser is only held on by 4 bolts. So, and carbon fiber, you hit that just the right way, that carbon fiber cracks, diffuser drops, and you have this huge big piece of carbon fiber laying on the racetrack. It's no good. As we see Mike McConville bobbing and weaving, but Tyler Seville coming out and setting the fastest lap of the race. Currently, he is D1. Looking at the Realty Executives of Saskatoon fast lap at a 53.79.
Yeah, this track is definitely getting faster from where we were at earlier in the race. Before, when we the start of the race last time, these guys were on fresh tires. They were running, I think, what, 54 ones, and now they're down to 53 sevens, 53 eights. So definitely able to pick up some pace with all this cloud cover.
That's a qualifying lap right there. That ain't a race lap. I'm pretty sure that qualifying lap would have got you in the top 3 if you set that time.
And even without some drafting help there, Mike McConville just ran his fastest lap of the race at a 54.04. As he continues to lead the field, Johnny Avila, within a second now, he's going to be side by side with Max Williams. Avila gets to run off the inside of the corner. He's stuck in traffic now. He's trying to find a way by. The door was open. It then slammed shut from Waters. Now he's about a car length off, and we're going to see 3 wide into turn 2.
Will Worsler going to try 3 wide. Johnny Avila goes to the pump. How did Max Williams not crash that car?
I don't know.
He's going to lose a couple spots, but it's a hell of a lot less spots than he would have lost if he hit the wall.
Yeah, for sure. You have to wonder if there's any damage now to the 63, as he was involved in that contact in turn number 2. But he's got all the launch off the corner. Wow, that's a power move.
Max Williams right back up there. Going to put the bumper to Will Worsler here coming in the water. Not quite close enough. He is still too wide. Kevin Dick fighting for that 5th position.
You see kind of that serpentine. You guys try to break the draft any way they can, and these 3 now line a turn between Waters, Avila, and Worsler. All the guys that have really picked up a lot of spots are still not faring too well. Of course, you got Johnny Avila up from dead last now to 3rd, but the next 3 biggest movers, well, actually, your 2 leaders are up 7 spots, but the rest of the field really is struggling to gain positions.
I was going to say, and Johnny Avila is close enough now to be a real threat for the lead of this race. It's half a second between McConville and Hunter Waters, but only a 10th between Hunter and Johnny. And then all Johnny's got to do is trace down that half a second to Mike McConville. And we saw him close much more than that in the last one.
So we've seen McConville get out front on strategy, but he was kind of struggling to make some moves. You know, he'd pass somebody and then get passed right back throughout the first about half of this race. So now McConville, um, really, you know, we have to see what he does as these tires wear on, because he really seemed to struggle with holding a position. He's not too far out in front of Waters and Avila.
Johnny Avila right on the bumper of his teammate Hunter Waters. I almost wonder if the strategy here is to try and push him and close the gap, as that's exactly what they have done. The gap now down to 1/10 of a second between McConville and Hunter, but Hunter pushes up in turn 1 and gonna allow McConville to run away with it. Touch again. If I say just a touch, he's only 2/10 in front now, and that gap is closing once again. Will they make another move into the tunnel turn? McConville goes for the block, doesn't make it. And they're going to say single file going through turn 2.
Yeah, turn 2 is, you have to set that move up a lot earlier if you're Hunter Waters. And if you wait till the very end like that, you really have to kill all your momentum trying to dive
And
down to
Will
the inside.
Worsler
But
going into the move.
that's a late move there into turn 2. I think that Avila was not expecting it. He ended up having to leave room, but holds on to the position.
And that's going to break up the... All three of those guys are teammates, but that's going to break up the WWR battle for the lead. Before they were working so great together, closing up that gap. Now it's really a fight between 3 WWR cars and Mike McConville.
Now, what is better, WWR or WWE?
WWF.
Not WCW?
Never heard of her.
Oh, was that contact there, by the way, between Waters and McConville? They were very close there going into turn 2.
Yes, we see a 3 wide fight a little bit further back with Tyler Seville, Kevin Tick, and Max Williams. That could have gotten really hairy going in turn 3, and still's going to be kind of hairy. They're 2 wide, 3 rows back.
70 laps the distance. Across 2/3 of that now, working lap 52 out of 70.
Go for the move on the inside. He is there, but has to back out of it. Mike McConville doing an excellent job of defending the lead of this race.
He just leaves enough of that door open that you want to make the move, and he entices you to do it, but then he just is able to shut it down so quickly.
Will Worsler still trying to fight Johnny Avila. I don't know if this is the move right now. I think you got to sit back and save those tires a little bit. But they're going to go 2 wide, 2 rows back, fighting for the lead. Hunter Waters has it on the outside. He's not clear
4
yet.
wide for the lead. Can we see it?
Johnny Avila way high, going to try and get the huge run. All 3 WWR cars swallow up Mike McConville.
First to 4th in a lap, and man, that just hurts to see if you're Mike McConville.
Not only in a lap, first to 4th in half a turn.
So now Avila, 3rd. He still got past McConville, but he ended up getting passed in the exchange himself by Worsler. So he's stuck right there in the 3rd position, trying to make his way all the way up to the front.
Yeah, I think these WWR guys are saying, hey, we let you win. I don't think they let him win, but
3 wide here into turn 3.
Oh, a little bit of contact between teammates as Mike McConville forces the issue. And we have a 4th WWR car coming up through the field, and that's going to be of Tyler Seville. Now getting past Hunter Waters. They are 3 wide down the front stretch. Tyler Seville wins it to the checker, but will he hold it going into 1? He's still 2 wide with Hunter Waters.
I think that if you're some of these guys, you realize you need to get a little more organized and catch up to Worsler, because they've already lost about 3/10 to him.
Well, there's only 15 laps to go. This is where you really have to set up your final moves of the race.
Just kind of jockeying for position. When it's go time, they will put the hammer down. But right now, it's still Worsler from Avila from Waters. Those are your top 3, and they're side by side back behind between Seville and Dick. You see the 52 of Dick on the high side. By Seville. Now Moore gets by Seville. So Seville lost a couple spots just down that straightaway. But he's still on the inside, trying to hold on, battling hard there with the 77 of Andrew Moore. Gap up front, only a 10th now between Avila and Worsler. He's going to think about making a move here pretty soon. He is all over that back bumper. Keep an eye on that battle up in the foreground with.
I don't think he's going to make a move yet. Those guys are fantastic at teamwork. WWR guys over the past 2 seasons that I've seen have worked together flawlessly. I think their plan right now is going to be get away from the field, then with 5 or so to go, battle it out.
I was going to say, you talked about that working together. Once those two were nose to tail at the front, they pulled out about 3/4 of a second gap back to Hunter Waters. So Waters has some work to do. These guys are just drafting too well together.
WWR is definitely a boys have at it kind of organization, but when it comes to winning races, they make sure one of their boys is on the point. I will have to check the stat sheet, but I'm pretty sure they've won at least 90% of the races this season. Johnny Vila gets by for the lead, but Will Worsler looking back for the inside coming through turn 3. Not going to be able to get the run. It seems like Johnny Vila has pretty much secured the lead for right now.
Yeah, he's all the way down to the inside line, and he's going to now try to do what he can to keep everybody else behind him. 13 laps to go. These guys continue just to duke it out, and really the gaps have kind of shrunk. They had about 3/4 of a second gap to Seville. Now it's down to half a second. A little bit of a feint to the inside from Avila. He continues to hold that top spot. Just kind of discouraging the move, saying, hey, I know the inside's there, but I'm not going to give it to you. He continues just to dominate this race up from dead last to first. He's done it with 13 laps still to spare.
And Johnny Avila pretty much guaranteeing himself the custom paints and die-cast hard charge reward. There's no better way to do it than going from last to first. If there was an extra bonus for going last to first, I think he should get it. Because it's impressive what he's done tonight. Up 18 positions. We haven't had a small field here tonight. That's a lot of cars to get through. Even with this skill at Pocono, it's tough to pass. As he seems to be pulling away now from Will Worsler. Gap is now up almost a half a second.
This is definitely going to be fun to watch these guys and see what they might be doing. Maybe Worsler now is trying to go back to Seville and see if they can try to figure it out. Maybe if it's too little too late at this point, but to try to see how they draft together and try to catch back up here to Johnny Avila.
Tyler Sevilla especially is going to want that. After last season's championship, he wants to win this one. He had to miss the first part of the season, which unfortunately cost him the championship. It was a tight fight between him and Johnny Vila, but after coming down to just a couple of points, missing those first couple of races really cost him. So he's been here week in, week out. Johnny Vila has had to miss a week, which might hurt him in the year-long championship. So Tyler Seville really wanted to keep himself in this fight.
Yeah, Avila's really starting to pull away up now.
As we ride on board with Tyler Seville, you can see him shifting. I'm almost curious if he downshifts here in the turn 1 or not.
Well, the revs looked very high, and yep, there it is. You saw the gauges on the cluster, and you can hear the engine just a little pop down, and he's right back to it, but these things take a while to get wound up. I'm kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, the Vila's really wanted to keep himself in this fight. As we ride on board with Tyler Seville, you can see him shifting. I'm almost curious if he downshifts here in the turn 1 or not. Well, we haven't gone to the dual overhead cannon engine yet. We're still back in the 1950s with pushrod engines. I believe that'll be next year or 2024 we reveal the new engine that was supposed to come out with this next-gen car, but thanks to COVID and just like every other industry, some things had to be pushed back a little bit.
It's going to be interesting. You know, you got NASCAR changing up their engine package. You've got IndyCar looking at maybe going to the hybrid era. I think 2024 now is when they pushed it back to. So everybody kind of changing up how their cars run, and it's going to be interesting to see what this develops into for the racing going forward.
We're in a golden age of motorsports right now. I mean, stuff like Drive to Survive coming out, getting people into Formula One just unveiling a new era of car, IndyCar looking at unveiling a new era of car, NASCAR with this new era. The 2020s are looking promising.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be one of those, you know, I'm trying to think of the right way to put this.
I think I know what you're trying to say. I'm hoping for the 2020s. We're 60 years after the 60s. 60 years seems like a perfect time to have another golden age. An age people 60 years from now are going to look back and go, damn, those were what race cars should be.
Right, and I think the one thing I think NASCAR is doing right is changing so much all at once so quickly, because you might see in other forms of motorsports, you change one little thing here, one little thing there, and in 5 years you got a whole new car. But since it took so long to get there, you know, it doesn't feel like anything really changed. It's not like completely revamping the car and everything like you see here in the Cup Series. Or, you know, I'm thinking of more like IndyCar, where they've technically been on the same chassis since, what,
2012.
2006 was the basis for this car, so... Or,
No, the
was the
DW...
RO5 was... Or DW12 was based... The aero package was based on the...
No, the DW12 was a whole new car, but the DW12, which is the chassis that's still raced today...
The IR18, that's right. I'm mixing them up. Yep, I'm going back a generation too far.
Yeah, it's the same chassis. It is the only chassis currently racing in a modern series that is also eligible for a historic series.
I love it. Oh, a little kiss on the wall there from Will Worcester. Got it with the right rear, and he continues to drive away, but he might lose the spot to Tyler Seville.
Teammate Tyler Seville now on the high side, really putting the pressure on Will Worcester, and he's going to get the move. Not quite done, but he's letting him know he's there.
It's something I just kind of was thinking about. I don't think we've seen Tyler Seville make many moves to the high side during this race. Most of the time, we've seen him just hugging the bottom line in the corners and trying to make people go the long way around him.
Which is the way to do it, but here now we're getting desperate at the end. Sometimes you got to move where you're uncomfortable and try and get something done. Because you can run the fast line all day, but that only works until you get to the car in front, and they're not going to give you that fast line.
Yeah, very late entry for Avila, where Worcester dives in early and tries to widen out the exit of the corner. You see him there holding out against the wall. You don't want to be right up against it, though. That's going to create drag between yourself and the wall, and that's why you see some drivers kind of lean a little bit more towards the inside. Avila was doing that just by going all the way to the yellow line down the back.
I think that's more prevalent in IndyCar than these stock cars. These stock cars, actually, that reverberation kind of helps you a little bit. It diverts air off of that rear spoiler.
I'm no aerodynamicist. I just, you know, read press releases from iRacing and kind of try to reiterate that.
There was a demonstration a couple years at Pocono where they took one of the TV cars and ran it down the front stretch wall at 200 miles an hour and tried to steer into it. And unless you really cranked the wheel 90 degrees to the right, you could not hit that wall even if you tried. Because just that air pressure was so stiff, it kind of creates its own little bubble. And it's really cool because it routes the air and creates a low pressure zone towards the catch fence. So the air wants to go over there instead of on your rear wing, and kind of helps you go a little bit faster.
No. Johnny Veal continues to lead, followed by Worsler and Seville. And that interval between those front three really grows and shrinks suddenly. It was up just over half a second not long ago. Now it's down to, well, it was down to 2/10, now back up to 3.5. But it just seesawing up and down. And I think that if you're Worsler, you're running out of town. Now 5 laps to go.
See, Tyler Seville trying to jump to the low side, get some of the draft off of Vila, but he's too far to make it work, so he had to jump back up behind Will Worsler. With only 4 laps to go, it's almost a wonder if anyone can catch Johnny Vila unless the caution were to come out.
You know, we do have overtime in this series, so I think that if you're Johnny Vila, you don't want to see a caution. If you're anybody else, you might try to play the strategy game and see what you can do.
Yeah, these WWR guys being top 3, you're definitely not going to see any, hey, Clint, does your arm hurt? You got an inch? In that team, at least.
I think you should lean down or scratch it.
See, Tyler Seville making the move and gets it completed on Will Worsler. Bossman dropping back down the 3rd.
That's a power move right there down the backstretch.
Andrew Moore Jr. slowly catching them. The gap is now down to a 2nd, but I don't think he's got anything for these top 3. Johnny Avila now with that move is kind of run away. Gap is well over half a second now, approaching 3/4 of a second exiting turn 3. So really, the battle is for 2nd now, and it's between these 2 teammates.
Yep, 70 laps the distance. 2 of those are remaining. As Avila continues to show off his impressive skill in these cars. Up 18 spots from where he started. Further on back, biggest mover is Tony Patton, currently running P11. He's the last car on the lead lap. These guys continue to work their way around, and Seville and Worsler's right there, 2nd and 3rd. That was very close, very high on exit for Seville.
And I think that's going to give it to Will Worsler.
Yeah, getting the
But
charge
Seville is going to get the run off of 3.
That is an impressive move if he can get this, get it done, or he's just going to try to catch back up to Avila. But the way that he squared off that corner, got the run off, that was just a power move.
That was a very, very nice move, approaching a very nice lap 69 here at Pocono Raceway.
2 to go for these guys. They just are fighting. I think at this point, the gap to 3rd, or gap up to the leader, is over a second. So you're going to have to see a mistake from Johnny. He doesn't make many of those. We're going to have to see how this battle for the 2nd spot settles out.
Coming through turn 3, Tyler Seville runs it a little bit high, maybe trying to build a gap, try and get a huge run down this front stretch. Front straightaway here is almost 3,000 feet long. White flag is out, and we have 2.5 miles remaining at this race. Tyler Seville gets to the bumper of Will Worsler, doesn't make a move, pushes up high going into turn 1. Is this to get a run down turn 2?
If he wants to get the move done in turn 2, he's going to need to start his run now. I don't think he's going to be close enough, or he's going to have to just absolutely send it there into turn number 2. He decides not to. He's going to stay in line.
Does he dive for it in turn 3, or does he let Bossman keep the 2nd position?
I mean, I think that with this team, you're not going to expect them to make too many over-aggressive moves, but I think he's going to get...
Andrew Moore going to the high side looking for P3. Just a short straightaway remains. Andrew Moore on the high side. He's got the run. And Andrew Moore is going to finish P3.
That was impressively close.
A gap of only 0.2 of a second, and Kevin Dick spins across the line and ends up coming across in P6.
Taking 6th position backwards is an interesting way to do it, but Dick showing off his style there with the 360 no scopes across the line.
So Johnny Vila comes home winning the race. He will be your winner of your Custom Paints and Diecast Hard Charger Award. AJ Digby looks like he's going to be the winner of the Custom Paints and Diecast Biggest Loser. Fastest lap looks like it is going to Tyler Seville. So even though he finishes 4th here, he still has a little bit of solace. That fastest lap coming by Realty Executives of Saskatoon. I'm totally pronouncing Saskatoon completely wrong, but please forgive me. We see Johnny Vila coming across the line, getting ready to do some donuts. And as you will see with the WWR cars, they should all be joining up in these celebrations. We should see 4 or 5 cars here doing donuts in the front stretch in just a second.
The tricky triangle was not so tricky for him today.
I'd say for barriers, though. See, he's trying to do the parallel park in between the cars. Doesn't get it done. Rear ends Tyler Seville. He'd fail his driving test here in New York City.
I think they're trying to box in the Wurzler there.
They're trying to spit him out, that's for sure.
That's a boss man sandwich. Oh, he pulled the Uno reverse card.
They're just trying to make sure that car doesn't fail tech at the end of the race. Rumor has it they're putting a little bit of tape on the nose.
That's what that was. Okay. What a fantastic battle from start to finish. You know, we saw a bit of a strategy move there at the first stage break, and then at the next caution, it was very fun to watch as Johnny Avila gets yet another victory.
I'm really liking what I'm seeing with this next-gen car here at Pocono. In real life, it was one of the most exciting races I've seen, and here on the sim, in the Sim Racers Club, it's also super exciting. Uncharacteristic Pocono. I love this track, but let's be real here. For the last 20 years or so, this track has delivered a boring race week in, week out, and here we are, this next-gen car, about a month apart. In the real world and the sim, we've had 2 fantastic races.
Johnny Vila gets the win just over a second over Will Wurzler. Then Andrew Moore takes home the last step of the podium. He barely got by Tyler Seville by about, was that 0.02? Just about? That's crazy gap there between Moore and Seville.
That was tight.
Yeah. Troy Haight wraps up the top 5. Then you got Hunter Waters, then Kevin Dick, Mike McConville, Max Williams, Rick Javorka wraps up the top 10, 13 seconds back, barely ahead of Tony Patton there for 11th, and everybody else finished off the lead lap.
As we're getting ready to pull in some of our drivers for their interviews. And first up, we will pick our race winner, Johnny Avila. What's going on, Johnny? It is Patrick up in the NRN broadcast booth. What a fantastic race. You drove up from the back of the field to the front. I want to ask you, what exactly happened in qualifying there that you ended up so far back at the start?
So Will had a lot of speed, so I kind of wanted to see if I could pull some trickery and save some tire on that first lap and then just do full send on the second. But coming out of 3, I smacked the wall. So
Oh, man. So
that first lap was not competitive.
starting at the back of the field, did you think you had any shot in this thing to go back up there and win the race?
I don't want to sound arrogant, but kinda. What is it? Road to Pro was here 2 races ago, and I still have dreams about doing test laps at this track. I think I did over 2,000.
Wow.
So every day it's just I was dreading coming to this track when I saw it after testing, and it was just like, uh.
But that practice obviously paid off. I mean, you made it into the top 10 in the first 10 laps, and
Yeah.
after that, everything else seemed like a cakewalk. You let your teammates Will Worsler, Tyler Seville battle it out, burn their tires up, and you kind of just walked on by and drove past them.
Yeah. I wanted to get clean air because clean air is pretty important for your tire wear. And then as soon as I got in front of them, I was uh I was pulling tricks, kind of entering high and then chopping low, so it put more air on Will's front end, make his right front hot, because he was really fast, and I'll be damned if I let the boss man win. So I was giving it everything I got while trying to maintain the temps on the tires, because for whatever reason, tire wear doesn't really matter that much. It's just you don't want them to overheat. So if you're wheeling it like crazy, you'll be done.
Yeah, it's kind of looked like that throughout the season where just like kind of a road course tire, it's not so much the wear until you hit that cliff. The only thing you have to worry about is the heat, which really makes for some interesting races we get because you
Yeah.
you can push a lot harder now.
What is it? I think after the first competition caution, all of the WWR guys did fuel only. And near the end of that run, they were doing the same lap times, if not faster than us. And a bunch of us took brand new tires and they didn't. So, like, the fact that it stabled out just showed that tires didn't really matter that much.
Well, hell yeah. Well, why don't we let you get to your sponsor plugs and thanks yous in?
Well, I got to thank Bulldog Roofworks. And then, of course, I got to thank all my teammates. We were able to put on a nice little battle there. And all the admins that keep this league together. And you guys up in the booth. I'm going to end up missing the first race of the upcoming season, but after that, I'll be trying to come back strong and come back for back-to-back titles.
Well, hell yeah. I mean, you missed a race this season. You still came and won the spring championship. So now that it's official, I would like to congratulate you on the championship win and good luck
Thank you
next
very
season.
much.
Next up, we will bring in Will Worsler, our second place finisher tonight. What's going on, Will? It is Patrick up in the broadcast booth.
Hey, Patrick.
Down there at the end of the race, what was going through your head as you were fighting with Tyler Seville? Were you worried that was burning up your tires, and did that cost you the win tonight?
No, my tires, I used up way more than I wanted to, being behind McConville and Hunter and Johnny. That whole little ordeal. I knew I needed to get ahead of Johnny if I could, and so I was driving it way more than I needed to, probably, to try to get alongside of him. But I mean, you pull, on the inside, and everybody's in the straight line on the outside, and you can't do anything about it. So I had several little instances like that. I knew I wasn't going to get around them, and by the time things shook out, and it was me and him and Tyler there at the end, I didn't want to be in a situation any more than I needed to, like I was last week. Like, I knew that I didn't have enough to. If I got caught him, I couldn't do anything with him. So I kind of let Seville have a shot at it. I kind of waited till he got a run, and I just told him that he had it, let him by. And I was trying to push him, trying to draft with him, and I don't know, he lagged out and like danced all over the track on my screen, but he said he hit the wall. And,
Oh, man.
So yeah, so I passed him back and got second to Johnny again for like, I think, fourth time out of 5 races or something. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Johnny is your road to pro driver. He was just saying, I had to push the boss man a little bit. I can't let the boss man win. I'm going to throw him under the bus. But
Oh, dude, I wouldn't want anybody to let me win. If they let me win, I wouldn't want that win. You know what I mean? And that's what we're here for. And Johnny's a fast driver. Like you said, he's road to pro, and not only is he road to pro, he's excelling at it. So, I mean, finishing second to Johnny Villa, you can only get your feelings hurt so much. Finishing second to several of the guys in this league. I mean, there's a lot of fast guys in here, so it makes it fun, and when you do well, it makes it more fun.
Hell yeah. Well, we'll let you get your sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I need to thank my wife for her support and watching my races, Willoughby Roofing and Sheet Metal, and the guys at Willoughby Roofing and Sheet Metal, Clay and Brandon and Mario and Daniel. All my friends that watch this stuff, My teammates, man, I got the best teammates. Wouldn't trade any of them. I'm gonna be fielding a development crew in Hell's Development by WWR for season 2 of SRC here in a couple of weeks. I got a couple of drivers. Daniel Pinkston, 22, is going to be moving over in in-house development, and then I'm bringing a new guy, Josh Morris. He'll be driving season 2 with us, and it's going to, however much fun it's been, it's going to be more fun. And it's all about competing and making each other better, and that's what we try to do.
Hell yeah, just bringing in more guys to the series, which is always a good thing. And hell, if they're working for you, that just means more wins for you guys. So
yeah. Appreciate you guys also in the booth for doing what you do, and appreciate the series admins.
Hell yeah. Well, good luck in the next season. Hopefully you can get some wins there in the fall season.
Appreciate it, Patrick. Look forward to seeing you guys. Hopefully I get some more interviews. Do well enough there anyway.
Hell yeah, we look forward to it.
Appreciate it, man.
And finally, our third place finisher, I'm going to call you Mr. NHRA, because that was a drag race to the line here at your home track. What was going through your mind coming out of turn 3 there with the run on Tyler Seville?
Oh, I wasn't sure it was going to work. I caught him, so I know I had a little bit extra on him, but when he dove down really, I'm like, here's my chance. Here we go. And that side draft pulls you a little bit. So I think he was helping me make that turn.
I was going to say, we were just talking about not 2 laps earlier, and the top 3 guys have just run away from Andrew Moore's. It's going to be a fight for second now. And then we're coming into turn 3, and there you are, and side by side with Tyler Seville. It was absolutely a fantastic finish to this race. What was the key to kind of closing that gap and getting up there with those guys?
Oh, saving the tires early. That stint with me and Kevin was out front and I was following. We both cooked our tires so bad. And right there, I learned if I'm going to have a good finish, especially starting, whatever, 6th or whatever, I got to save some tires and use that draft up the best I could.
Oh, yeah. And just one more time, I want to say we're looking at this finish, and just like a drag race, man, you guys were neck and neck.
Neck and neck, beating on each other a little bit. It was good.
Oh, that was a classic NASCAR finish at a classic NASCAR track that is Pocono Raceway. Well, we'll give you a chance to get your sponsor plugs and thank yous in.
Yeah, Torque Wrench Motorsports, iRacing, Jordan Berry, Kevin Dick, Brad Allison, Roger Rios, everybody in the broadcast booth. It was a good night.
Well, hell yeah, and we look forward to seeing you around. You'll be around for the next season, I assume, and hopefully we can get you some wins there, too.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Hell yeah, looking forward to it. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, I'll see you.
So, Chad, a fantastic race at Pocono. What are your final thoughts on tonight?
I think that it was a fantastic way to wrap up the spring season. We saw a fantastic drive there. And, just as the race went on, it was really interesting to watch the strategies develop and some of the guys that had to work their way through some cars to get the job done. But overall, fantastic bit of racing and fantastic combination of cars and tracks here tonight.
Well, coming up on the National Race Network, I can't tell you exactly what's going on. However, I know for a fact Thursday night we will have Indy Pro 2000 racing. I'm not sure where. I can tell you it's road course, but other than that, I've got no extra details. I am not Chris Graham. Again, he's on vacation. He's got scheduled down pat. As well as we have Ezra coming from, again, another track. Please join into those. Enjoy the open wheel racing on this side of the broadcast, because the open wheel cars do it just as well as the closed wheel stuff, except wheels go flying a lot more often. Until next time, we're going to close out the show. Hope you all have a fantastic night. Thank you very much.